All right. Well, I'm Corey.
And this is Woody.
And this is David, and I am unmasked.
And this is the ISOcast.
Beautiful.
Are we rolling?
Are we rolling?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Corey.
Hello.
What's up? What's up in Alabama?
Just rolling right along. Yeah, just doing our thing here in Alabama.
With or without the tide? Are you rolling with the tide or are you rolling against the tide?
You know, we're rolling with the tide. Hopefully they will be able to kick off on time this season. So we're fingers crossed. We're on pins and needles here.
When do they kick off?
Late
Usually?
August this year.
Okay.
Yeah. No, well, maybe early September. One of the two. But in the fall, yeah. Saturdays in the fall won't be the same without football.
How would you feel about just empty stadiums? So they're all tested. They just jump in there. They play. There's no cheering crowd. It's just a football game on TV.
You know, I wouldn't be a fan of that. I mean, obviously I'd be a fan of the team, but I wouldn't be a fan of, I mean, part of the allure of college football are the fans and the cheering and the tailgating and the yelling at the players and coaches and the chants and stuff. So not having that as background noise,
Right.
even would be really, really hard to listen to on or watch on TV. And so yeah, I don't know.
It'd be
It wouldn't be the
strange.
same. I mean, how would it be for hockey if they didn't have fans in the stadium?
I don't know.
Well,
It sounds
I can
weird
tell you
to me.
in Montreal it'll be the same because there aren't any fans in the stadium.
Oh, you're going to get some hate mail on that one.
Yeah, right. Woody, have you seen the baseball that they're doing with the empty stadiums and they've got the cardboard cutouts of people in the stands?
What? No.
Yeah, Asia's awesome, man. They're just going, right? So they're just testing the players and getting them out there and playing. It's televised. Yeah.
Korean baseball league, right?
I feel like it's Korea, yeah. I'm
yeah,
not sure.
they're playing. No fans. I didn't hear the cardboard cutouts. That's really interesting. But yeah, they're going.
It's like I've just watched a couple episodes of things. Like I really enjoyed John Oliver. I think he's a pretty funny guy. I like his writers. And you remember the first week that they're back and it's just him and there's no audience and how weird it is, right? Because it's all written for potentially a crowd, but there's no crowd response. And then even during the intro, you hear the music and you're used to hearing applause and stuff in the background and there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just super dystopian. So I'm trying to see an Alabama football game where there's just nothing. There's no sounds in the stadium except for crunching helmets and whistles.
I watched one episode of John Oliver from home, his home. And I remember thinking, am I supposed to laugh now? Was that funny? Was it supposed to be funny? It's really bizarre.
I know.
Watching it.
You don't have the cue.
You don't have the cue up. You don't, other people tell you to laugh. You don't have that.
You don't have the soundtracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But college football to me sounds like of all the sports that could do it without fans, that seems to be the easiest one because there's not as many games. There's not as many teams. I think it's easy to create that bubble of you just test the players and away you go. But baseball plays 162 games, traveling all over the country. How are you going to do that?
Zoom
baseball?
What's the vibe down there in Bama though? How's it feeling? Because not to give you a lead for the answer, but we talk to a lot of Americans all the time for work, and it's like talking to a different planet. There's Earth and then there's the United States has been kind of my experience in these calls, and I'm just trying to get a sense of what it's like on the ground in Alabama.
Yeah, I think Alabama would be leaned more towards the United States than Earth, right? So the vibe is that it's like, come on, guys, it's time to get this thing over with, and so we can get on with the way life used to be, kind of a thing. So it's I don't know if people are taking it as seriously as probably the rest of the world. You certainly go out to the stores and you have, mid-March, you'd go out to a store and probably maybe 10-20% of the people had face masks on. Now you go and it's probably 60 or 70, and So people have taken it more seriously, but at the same time, it's that underlying current of, hey, when is this thing going to stop? I mean, we need to get back to work. I mean, Alabamians love their food. We want to get to the restaurants, and so I don't. It's one of those things. It's like, hey, if I don't know anybody that has COVID, then it probably, then it's not real, kind of a thing.
Sure, yeah.
So, uh, not to take away from the people that have it and have suffered from it and the families, but um, it's just not as real here in Alabama. I mean, obviously, we're not heavily populated in the state, but um, it's just not as real. And until it affects somebody that we know personally, then it's probably not going to matter as much, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. To chime in, everyone who listens to the show, and thank you, whoever you are, knows that I am on this ever-long hunt for the new condo. And when we go to a different region off island, it's less dystopian, right? In Montreal, it's zombie apocalypse, right? You drive around, there's nobody, it's abandoned, it's weird. All there are homeless people and cops. And then you just get off the island, and then it's like, there's traffic and cars and people, and you go a little further, and, schools are starting to open. So even there, it's, you can see within a 15-minute drive, the variance, the difference between how people are responding and taking it. Because Montreal is obviously an epicenter. We're the kind of New York of Canada on this thing right now. And it's kind of eerie and scary there. So I imagine in a place like Alabama that it's certainly not business as usual, but I don't know if you feel that palpable, gripping fear that you can get when you go to like Montreal.
No, absolutely not. It's not really a fear at all. I mean, you'll go out and some people that you've known for a long time will, you try to shake their hand. It's like, oh, okay, well, let me give you a fist bump. But I don't even know if I can do that. How about an elbow or a foot tap or something? And so you really don't know who takes it seriously and who doesn't. It's kind of like what group are you on? Are you with the masked or the unmasked? Kind of a group. And
I like that.
Yeah.
And I personally, I kind of lean towards the unmasked group. And it's like, hey, look, man, I probably have already had it. I mean, I remember back in January, I got real sick. Well, I say I got real sick, but I went through this coughing spell, and I thought I had the flu. And for about 10 days, almost 2 weeks, I finally went to the doc in the box and said, it was on a Sunday. I said, I've got something. I need to get some steroids or a shot or something. And they tested me for the flu, and I was negative. And I've heard stories like that around here a lot, that, back in late December, early January, people were getting sick and they had no idea what it was because they weren't positive for the flu or anything. So I'm not convinced that I haven't already had it. Same with my wife. She went through a spell where she couldn't taste her food, and from my understanding is that that's one of the signs of testing positive for this is people not being able to taste their food, and she was fine. She got through it. She's tasting her food now, and she's fine. But my point is that there are people here that might have already had it and don't even know that they had it because it was before. They put a label to it, right?
Definitely. No, I think we're all playing that game now. I mean, we're all. I'm thinking about. I felt kind of sick in January, maybe in February. Like, we'll never. I guess unless they develop this kind of test, we'll never know if retroactively if we had it or not. It's kind of an interesting concept for sure.
Well, I came to visit you in Toronto, and I came back and I was wiped out for 2 days. And there was a moment when I woke up in the night with the fever, because I just kept checking my fever, and it's like shortness of breath started getting intense. And I'm like, well, shoot, this could be, right? And I was debating. I was actually looking on the Quebec healthcare website to see under what circumstances should I go see a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. So I waited until my fever kind of broke and started going down. I'm like, okay, I think I'm better. Long story short, is we'll just cut all that out. That I'm one of the people walking around Earth going, man, I think I had it. And everyone's exactly like you said, Gregerson. Everyone's got the same stories. Like, I had it too. I'm pretty sure I had it. My wife had it. My friend had it. And it's like, we might have. Mm-hmm. We certainly might have. It'd be cool if there was an accurate antibody test that said, yeah, you had this puppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that would be good. That way we can get on with our lives maybe a little bit faster than somebody that hasn't had it already.
Depending on how long the antibody lasts, right? And if it actually does anything for you. If you can get reinfected, then square one.
Well, we've talked about this, Corey, in other episodes. I think this is the big thing with this is it's completely new and we really don't know any of these answers, Can someone get it again? Maybe. They don't know, right?
Right.
Will an antibody last for a long time? We don't know. Is a vaccine possible? We don't know. So I think that's obviously what makes people, nervous. It's just there aren't these answers yet. So, and it's been a big transition because I remember, talking about taking it seriously or not. Even here, I remember 2 days before, basically like in March, 2 days before everything got shut down, essentially, on sports radio, they were talking about what chances there were that the NHL would cancel one game due to COVID.
Right.
And they were all saying, probably like 10%, 15% chance that one game would be canceled. And then like 2 days later, Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz tested positive, and obviously everything else spiraled from that. So even here, before this, no one was really taking it with that kind of seriousness.
Yeah, now the conversations like around the NBA are, will there be a season? And the commissioner said, I'm sure there will be, but there again, there's no answer to that. That's kind of that's the answer one needs to give in that position, right? You can't be the NBA commissioner and say, it ain't happening, everybody. You can't do that. And then all of a sudden it does happen. You got to go the other way. It's like, I anticipate it'll happen, and then it's easier to pull back. My opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. No, totally. I don't see how I, as a sports fan, I hope it happens in some way. I'm with you, Gregerson. I wouldn't really want to watch without fans, but I think I'd want to watch that than watch nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a concert goer, hope that we get to that place at some point soon. It's amazing. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm realizing how much, as even an introvert, I do like the opportunity to get around people, right? And not look at them like they're infected, right? Just be a social animal again. When you take it away for 8 weeks, I think it's been maybe 8-9 weeks or something like that, it starts getting weird. Like, I don't know if you guys caught yourselves. I'm driving down the road and I see two people that are close together and I'm immediately like, they're too close.
Yep.
Or I'm thinking, I'm watching the neighbors going, who's that? Who's visiting over there? And maybe I'm at that part of the paranoia curve, but I can't speak to your experiences. I'm curious though.
I'm getting tired of the what I call the COVID tango, whereas, you come around the corner and then there's someone there and you jump back from each other because, we're too close. But it's a really inhumane reaction to be jumping away from other people like that.
Let me ask you this. At what point would you feel comfortable going to a concert? At what point would you feel comfortable going to a sporting event? We're not doing those things because the government and these officials, and I'm doing air quotes right now, are saying, you don't do this. We're shutting this down. It's not safe. These same people says, okay, it's safe now. You can go back. Are you going to feel safe at that point? Or is there something else that needs to happen that you're going to feel comfortable going to these in public like that?
I'll feel that one. I would feel comfortable when there's effective treatment or a vaccine. Those are the two circumstances under which I'm like, yeah, if the government says go back, it's cool. I'd be, yeah, for sure. If the government says go back, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to bear the brunt of this thing. Let's just do it. I'm like, I ain't going out there. I'm good. You guys, you figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good question. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of with Corey only because I think what seems to be out there is, you want to go and have dinner with your parents and you want to go and eat with people who are in these vulnerable demographics. And if I went to a concert, I wouldn't feel comfortable then going to my parents for dinner on the weekend. So I think that pretty much gives my answer.
Yeah.
I got it.
I don't know. I don't want to kill my mom. That's really kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this changes every day. There could be tomorrow, there could be a new study that says what we thought was true isn't anymore. So it's tough.
Well, that's the novel part of it. Right?
Yeah.
How are you guys coping though with just the day to day? Everyone's got their word: quarantine, self-isolation, social distancing, lockdown, quarantine. I don't know what you guys call it in Alabama. I think it's shelter in place in a lot of the U.S. states. Mm-hmm. Even in Quebec, I think we have a special term for it now. How are you coping, Gregerson?
You would think that it would be hard, but it's actually just had the exact opposite. it's been really, really easy. I mean, I'm an introvert as well, and so I'm fortunate enough to where I'm able to work out of the house anyway. So that part's really not a hard transition. The toughest part is now that we have three teenagers and they're all at home and they're all trying to do their schoolwork at home. We're fighting over computers. We're fighting over who can be at closest to the internet because we have Zoom calls, and so we're like we're doing like musical offices now in the house to where and stuff. And so that part's a little bit different, but surprisingly, it's really, really good. I mean, you would think, oh goodness, all these people at home are going to just tear each other apart and tear our head, tear at each other, but it's not. We're actually have come to a point where we've slowed down. We are eating meals together at a table together. We are actually speaking to each other because we have time to do that. Whereas in the past, we have to go to this ball game because I have two cheerleaders, and we have to go to that ball game, and then we have this practice, and then we have to go to so and so's birthday party, and then we got somebody's inviting us over to dinner, and then we got people coming over to our house, and it's constant. Every day we have something going on that we're constantly moving. And now we're all at home. And, again, being the introvert, it's kind of feels really good to me. I mean, I'm really enjoying being at home. And on top of that, it's kind of like getting to know your family again. We're actually slowing down, having conversations with each other. How are you doing? What's going on in your life? How does that make you feel? Those kind of conversations. And I feel like we've actually become closer as a family. So, some people said, oh goodness, we're going to have so many divorces in the next several months because everybody's going to forced to stay at home with each other. But it's just the opposite for us. We're actually really enjoying our time together.
That's amazing. How are you doing with the homework help?
I don't do that. That's my wife. If the kids need any help, that's going to be my wife. But we have one that may need a little help, but the others are pretty responsible.
Self-sufficient.
They take care of it themselves.
That's good.
I have no idea what their school schedule is. When they have to get on a Zoom, I know 5 minutes before they have to get on Zoom because I get kicked out of my office.
Right.
That's it.
Are you guys resuming classes this year, do you think, or do you think that's kind of it for 2020?
No, I mean, as far as the school year, I mean, we were going to be done the end of May anyway.
Okay.
What is that, 2 weeks from now? So they're not going back to school. The question is, are we going to start on time next year? And as of right now, I will tell you that the feeling here is like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I think last week the governor here in Alabama did like a stage 2 of reopening things, which means, restaurants are going to be open, but they can only be half capacity. Other retail stores can be open, but they can be half capacity at any one time. And so things are slowly getting back to that feeling of what it used to be a couple of months ago. So, I would, if that trend keeps, then I would say, school will start back on time, and fingers crossed, football season will start on time, and all the sporting events will start on time, and life will go on. But who knows? I mean, you hear talks about second wave, and you hear about, like you said, Corey, United States is singing out of a different songbook than the rest of the world. That could very well be true. And if we are, then we're in for a rude awakening. That we may be isolated for a lot longer than we wanted to be. So.
Is Alabama isolated from, like, if Alabama reopens, quote unquote, can you do that at a state level where, I know there's not physical borders, but where you can just kind of isolate the state instead of communities and little towns?
Yeah, that'd be really hard. Like you said, there's really no border here. We're not going to build a wall and make Tennessee pay for it.
Yeah.
But
you could, though.
Well, we could. So that would be tough. I mean, we have interstates running in and out of the state. We really can't quarantine the state so much. But I'll say, I mean, I've heard, there's different counties around us, and especially counties in Georgia, when they were self quarantined, or had the stay at home order, that the sheriff departments and the deputies were pulling people over and saying, "Hey, you're not from here. What's your business in this county?" And if you can't, if you're not saying, "Hey, I'm going to the, I'm an essential," or if you can't prove that, they'll tell you to turn around and go back the other way. So I guess you can probably regulate that more on a county level. I would say than a state level. I think it would be easier on a county level.
Am I the only one who's, I don't know, it's 7 billion people, probably not, who's looking forward to sort of a brave new world on the other side of this? Like sometimes I feel that the things that are going to go away probably should go away anyway. some stuff that is like, yeah, I think there's things that run its course. It's probably good that it closes and never reopens again. And on the other end of it, we come out with maybe this is just dystopian, Corey, because I'm in that mood at the moment, but maybe it comes out, after the zombie apocalypse. We've had the Hunger Games, we've done our purge, and we can start a fresh planet with some good ideas and less steak shacks.
I don't think that's optional. I think that is what's happening. So that perspective is a good one, because you either get on board with it or you don't. Because I think that is what's going to happen.
Because I'm thinking about movie theaters. All right, generally speaking, AMC looks like they're going to go under. Cineplex is probably next. There's a bunch of this that's going to happen, but I can't speak for you guys. The last couple of times I've gone to a movie, the experience pretty much sucks. Like, it's pretty crappy. But there are some theaters that are like really awesome. They've got couch seating and food service and drinks and like a pre-show, and it's like a thing that you go and it's fun. I'm not discounting the shared experience, but there's a point where it's like, maybe theaters have always sucked, and this is the death nail to a sucky experience, right?
I mean, it could be. I mean, I can speak for me locally. The theaters here is they really haven't changed the way they've done business since I was a kid. You go in, you pay for your ticket, go to the concession stand, get your popcorn and Coke, and go sit down. That hasn't changed. So if, of course, we didn't have Netflix 30 years ago either, and we didn't have on-demand movies. So, we might come out of this with a whole different, like you said, a whole different industry, a whole different way of thinking, that's the question I was going to ask you guys is, what new industries do you think are going to pop up from this, or what young industries are really going to take off from this? Because like you said, Corey, movie theaters are going to die. I mean, I think I'd read somewhere that they're all getting together and asking for a bailout from the government. Because they're hurting right now.
I've never been to a drive-in movie. I've never been to one, and this is what we're talking about. Movies they're talking about, obviously, that makes sense with the distancing and everything, and maybe that's something that gets revived. Fashion styles come back, so to speak. So maybe we'll see some things that went out of fashion in the past due to whatever reason. But a drive-in movie, it might not be a question of a new business, but one that went out of style and might just come back again. I think people like experiences now. That seems to be the thing. A drive-in movie is an experience that younger people have never experienced. So that could be one.
Well, the savior for the movie industry was always what's called day and date, right? So the movie comes out and you can only see it in the theaters for a period of time. But now, as we're all self-isolated, the production companies are going, well, there's no reason not to do day and date now releases, to the public online and on demand. So you can pay your $20 for your ticket and watch your Star Wars as soon as it comes out. But, it's the theaters that have always pushed back and said, you can't do that. You'll put us out of business, right? It's like, well, what are you going to do? You're out of business already. I saw drive-in concerts being conducted now in Europe. So they have this very elevated stage. You go in, you tune in on the app or on a radio frequency, and you sit in your car and you watch the concert, right? So I think we're seeing the kind of the kludge solutions to the problems. Like, they're trying to fix an old model with kind of a new approach. And I think, to answer your question, what I'm excited to see is more like a mental shift where the the stigma of, oh, you work from home, you don't have an office, you don't have a place, like a location. I think that's when this finally ends, where people recognize that it doesn't matter where you're sitting, it's what you're doing while you're there that's important. So that the change might be more that we're going to see a collapse in the commercial real estate market. Office buildings are going to just disappear because there's not going to be any valid reason to jump on a plane for thousands of dollars and go press palms. Look, there's always a point where some things are always best done in person, but maybe not nearly as much.
I was saying this to a friend yesterday that because it seems it's always easy to look in the past with hindsight and say something looks ridiculous, but paying somebody to come into an office from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock and stare at a computer screen seems ridiculous, because you can stare at a computer screen at home all you want. So there are certain jobs where you have to go to them, obviously. But if your job is to go into an office, be on a computer for 8 hours and then go home, I don't see why that would exist anymore.
I wonder if, like, when you're going through like addiction recovery and you're detoxing, maybe after 8 or 10 or 20 weeks of this, those people who were like, jonesing for the office, jonesing for going into work, are going to start going, you know what? I'm thinner. I'm more productive. I'm happier. I'm well rested. I have more money in my bank account. So I think maybe that's the holdout of the office junkie who's like, you know what? When I look at the long throw of this, everything's better for everybody this way.
No, I agree. I mean, I can speak for our house is in the neighborhood that we live in. You're seeing more and more people outside, walking in our neighborhood and doing yard work, and just, I mean, I didn't realize I've met neighbors I've never even met before since this has started, because people are outside walking, and we're doing the same thing. We're walking. We're going to the park. We're taking the dog for a walk and walking. And I'm now running a little bit more, and so we're more health conscious, and we've realized, hey, we don't need to go to the Mexican restaurant and order 5 tacos. We can eat at home, and so we're saving money. We're losing weight. We're becoming more healthy, and so. I think coming out of this, I hope that there is going to be a different mindset throughout the world, and I know it's going to happen in our house, but I hope it can take off everywhere.
What do I do if I'm fatter, less efficient, and poorer?
Are you?
I'm not. The second two, no. I think I've been pretty efficient, but the first one a little bit. I've been drinking too much beer. Got the beer belly going on.
Oh, I stopped drinking beer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, almost stopped drinking entirely, because
Wow.
you know what? It got a little out of hand. There was
Okay.
I have had 6 beer and the National's not even on yet. It got pretty bad.
The National.
But then there was a moment where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just not going to go buy more beer. So that's the 5 taco effect, right? It's like, if I don't have the tacos at arm's length, I'm not going to eat 5 of them. So
right.
maybe I'm just obsessing because those tacos sounded really good.
No, I've saved tons of money because, the temptation of coming home from work, again, going back to the office type of thing, is not there. Picking up something on the way home, you don't do that, or I don't do that. So the food saving cost is extreme. It's huge.
Gregerson, what do you miss the most?
What do I miss the most? After all that talk about me enjoying the family being home and all that stuff, I'll tell you what I miss the most is some silence. Some peace and quiet. It's hard for me to go to a room and just with my own thoughts and to be quiet. So I miss that a little bit, but it's not like it's wearing on me. I tell you that one of the biggest things I had to overcome is the fact that the drive-through at Chick-fil-A is now a quarter of a mile long because it's like everybody in this city want to go to Chick-fil-A, and it's like the only place in town that's open, which it's not, but it seems like that it is. And you couldn't go into the building to eat, and everybody's got to go through the drive-through, and so the wait to get your food at Chick-fil-A is up to 30 minutes now, and I just can't.
Wow.
I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off.
Well, I'm losing weight too, because every time I drive by something like a McDonald's, I look at that line. I'm like,
No.
yeah. And somebody asked me the other day, can I get you anything while I'm out? And he said, yeah, can you get me a cappuccino at McDonald's? I'm like, no.
What?
I don't have 45 minutes to bring you a cup of coffee. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Well, I just think, again, the choices that we make. I mean, you can make coffee at home. Why do you spend $5 on a Starbucks
Exactly.
coffee? People have time to make those tacos. Maybe you don't usually, but I think choices that we're making are drastically changing, and I hope we stick with them.
I'm with the silence part. I don't know about you, Woody. Like, do you wake up in the morning sometimes and look at your partner and go, you're still here, huh?
I like
throw 3 teenagers into the mix and tell me what you think after
No
that.
thanks.
I like the silence. The silence is good.
Yeah. I'm thinking about executing the headband rule again. When we were living in tight quarters and working in tight quarters years ago, we would put on a headband, and that headband indicates I'm thinking, I'm working, I do not want to be disturbed. So you could, in peace, go to the kitchen, make a tea, go back to your desk, or be sitting at your desk and be uninterrupted. It was pretty effective. We were just like, we're quiet ninjas. I'm in my quiet samurai ninja mode right now. I'm wearing my headband. At first, it's ridiculous, but after that, it's like, this is pretty great.
What kind of headband? Like a dodgeball? Headband?
No. For me, it was the the waist thing from a bathrobe, because I wanted to commit before I went and got like a samurai headband with the kamikaze symbol on it or something.
Test it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Corey.
And this is Woody.
And this is David, and I am unmasked.
And this is the ISOcast.